There's a quiet that settles over ancient places long after the crowds have gone, a stillness that feels almost sacred. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the whispers of history carried on the evening breeze. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this with me. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon, bathing the world in the soft, silvery light of a full moon. The heat of the Roman day has dissipated, replaced by a cool, gentle air that feels soothing against the skin. All the noise, the bustling energy of modern life, it all fades into a distant hum. We are leaving it all behind, stepping away from the pressures and the screens, and embarking on a very different kind of journey. This isn't a history lesson filled with dates and battles, it is a walk. A quiet, moonlit walk through the very heart of the ancient world, the Roman Forum. This is a place where the ground itself seems to breathe with memory. For centuries, this was the epicenter of an empire, a sprawling plaza where senators debated the fate of nations, where citizens gathered to witness triumphs, and where the everyday life of a magnificent civilization unfolded. The air here is thick with stories of ambition and power, of love and betrayal, of gods and mortals. But tonight, we are not here to focus on the grand narratives of emperors and conquests. Tonight, we are simply visitors in the quiet hours, letting the silence and the shadows tell their own, more peaceful tales. We will wander where marble columns stand like silent sentinels against the starry sky, where the outlines of ancient temples are etched in moonlight, and where the only sound is the soft crunch of gravel underfoot. So find a comfortable position, let your breathing become slow and deep, and allow your mind to begin its gentle drift. Let the tension in your shoulders melt away and release any thoughts of the day that has passed. We are going to travel together, not with the jarring speed of a time machine, but with the slow, steady pace of a peaceful stroll. As we cross this timeless threshold, imagine the warm, worn stones of the sacred way beneath your feet. Feel the cool night air on your face. Listen for the gentle rustle of cypress trees in the distance. This is our path, a path of tranquility and restoration, leading us deep into the dreaming ruins of the Forum. Our walk begins on a gentle slope, the Palatine Hill, a place that feels like a natural balcony overlooking the entire Forum. We've arrived just as the day is giving its final, magnificent performance. The sun, a great orange orb, sinks slowly behind the distant hills, and the sky above Rome transforms into a canvas of breathtaking color. Deep amber and soft rose bleed into bands of lavender and violet, all silhouetting the jagged, beautiful ruins below. From this vantage point, you can see the whole scene laid out like a map of memory. The broken lines of temples and basilicas are etched in dark, dramatic shapes against the glowing horizon. The great columns of the Temple of Saturn stand like a row of dark fingers reaching for the first stars, while the triple arches of the Septimius Severus Arch create a profound and lasting geometry in the fading light. Take a deep breath here and feel the change in the air. The warmth of the stone, which held the sun's heat all day, is now releasing it, creating a gentle, radiating warmth that you can feel through the soles of your shoes. But countering that is the cool evening breeze that whispers up from the Tiber River, brushing against your skin and carrying the faint, earthy scent of cypress trees and old, sun-baked brick. It's a scent of antiquity, clean and dry. Listen. The frantic buzz of the city is far away now, a muted, humming lullaby. You can hear the distant, melodic chime of a church bell marking the hour, a sound that feels both part of this moment and entirely separate from the ancient world sleeping at our feet. This hill itself is saturated with a deep, resonant history. It was here, according to legend, that the she-wolf nursed the infant twins, Romulus and Remus, and where Romulus later decided to found the city. It became the most exclusive address in the ancient world, where emperors built their sprawling palaces. The vast, shadowy complex of the Flavian Palace sprawls to one side, its hollow windows now staring out peacefully at the twilight. To stand here is to stand at the very birthplace of an empire, yet the feeling is not one of overwhelming power, but of a profound and peaceful closure. The day is done, the centuries have passed, and all that remains is this beautiful, quiet acceptance, a landscape settling into rest, offering us its stillness as a gift. From this serene vantage point, our path now curves gently downward, inviting us to begin our descent along the Clivus Palatinus. This is no ordinary road. It is the very same ancient pathway that Roman senators and citizens climbed for centuries, its stone surface worn smooth by countless footsteps. Under the soft glow of the moonlight, the large, uneven cobblestones feel firm yet welcoming beneath your feet, each one a polished relic from a distant past. As we start our slow walk down, a subtle shift occurs. The panoramic view of the forum from the hilltop was magnificent, but here, enclosed by softly crumbling walls overgrown with ivy and creeping vines, the world seems to draw in, becoming more intimate, more personal. The modern sounds of the city fade completely now, replaced by an almost palpable silence that seems to hum with a low, peaceful energy. The air changes as we move deeper into this sheltered passage. The clean, dry scent of ancient brick from the hilltop mingles with the richer, more fragrant perfume of the earth. A gentle, cool breeze drifts through the lane, carrying with it the unmistakable, resinous aroma of cypress trees standing like dark, silent guardians along the route. Interwoven with that crisp scent is something softer and more delicate, the sweet, intoxicating fragrance of night-blooming jasmine. Its tiny white flowers invisible in the darkness, but announcing their presence with a perfume that seems to saturate the very air. Breathe it in. This fragrant, cool air fills your lungs, feeling cleansing and light, as if you are breathing in the tranquility of the night itself. With every step, the weight of the present day seems to loosen its grip, falling away like a heavy cloak you no longer need to carry. Your hand might brush against the rough, sun-warmed stone of the wall lining the path, and you can feel the texture of history, the pockmarks and grooves made by time and weather. High above, the indigo sky is now studded with a scattering of bright, clear stars, their sharp light peeking through the feathery branches of the cypresses. The only sound is the quiet, rhythmic crunch of your own footsteps on the ancient gravel, a sound that becomes a meditative accompaniment to our walk. This is the true beginning of our journey into the past, not as observers behind a velvet rope, but as quiet participants walking in the footsteps of those who came before. The Clivus Palatinus is our bridge, carrying us gently away from the world we know and into the heart of a sleeping empire, where every shadow holds a story and every stone whispers a secret. And now our path levels out, and our feet meet the legendary pavement of the Via Sacra, the sacred way. This is the very artery of ancient Rome, the road where triumphant generals in golden chariots paraded with their spoils of war, and where countless citizens once thronged in a constant, vibrant stream of life. But tonight it is ours alone. A profound, almost reverent silence descends, a quiet so deep and complete it feels like a physical presence, a soft blanket muffling the world. The towering structures that flank this wide, stone-paved avenue no longer speak of imperial power, but stand as gentle giants in repose, their colossal forms casting long, deep shadows that seem to cradle the silence. To our left, the Basilica of Maxentius rises like a man-made mountain range against the star-flecked sky. Its three remaining cavernous arches are not merely ruins, they are great, dark portals into the past. The moonlight catches only the highest curves of the vaults, tracing their immense, graceful arcs in silver, while the vast spaces beneath are pools of utter blackness, serene and impenetrable. This was once the city's grand hall of justice and commerce, a space that echoed with the debates of lawyers and the chatter of merchants. Now it holds only the memory of those sounds, a colossal vessel filled with nothing but peaceful night air. Across from it, the massive platform of the Temple of Venus and Roma dominates the view. Its sheer, towering wall is a canvas for the moonlight, the rough texture of the brick and the empty niches creating a landscape of soft grays and velvety blacks. It feels less like a building and more like a natural cliff face, ancient and enduring, its dedication to the gods of love and the city itself now a silent testament to a civilization's deepest devotions. Walking this sacred ground, the silence is not empty. It is a rich, textured quiet, broken only by the soft, rhythmic sound of your own breath and the faint scuff of your shoes on stone worn glassy smooth by 2,000 years of passage. The air here is still and cool, carrying a distinct mineral scent, the smell of old marble and clean dust. It's the scent of time itself. You can almost feel the weight of history pressing gently in from all sides, not as a burden, but as a comforting, immense permanence. Look up between these monumental shadows, and you see a perfect ribbon of indigo sky, the Milky Way, a faint, dusty smear above the roofless ruins. Here, in the very heart of what was once the world's busiest crossroads, you find a tranquility that is almost overwhelming, a space where the past is not dead, but merely sleeping, offering its deep, resonant peace to any quiet enough to receive it. As we drift further along the sacred way, a quieter, more secluded space opens to our right, a sanctuary within the sanctuary. This is the house of the Vestal Virgins, a place that feels set apart from the grand political theater of the Forum, holding a different kind of energy altogether. We step from the wide, processional avenue into a rectangular courtyard, a world unto itself, cloistered and profoundly still. The air here is even cooler, sheltered by high, crumbling walls, and a deep, reflective hush seems to have settled into the very soil. This was the home of the priestesses of Vesta, goddess of the hearth, whose sacred duty was to maintain the eternal flame of Rome itself. It was a life of immense privilege and immense responsibility, a vow of 30 years of service to ensure the safety and stability of the entire state. Our eyes are drawn to the long, shadowy colonnade that surrounds the courtyard, where the faint moonlight reveals a series of empty, weathered pedestals lining the walkway. Once, these bases supported the marble statues of the chief Vestals, women celebrated for their piety and dedication. Now they stand as silent, poignant reminders, their surfaces smoothed by centuries of rain and wind. You can almost feel the absence of those honored figures, a ghostly gallery where only the memory of their presence remains. In the center of the courtyard, the outlines of what were once elegant reflecting pools are still visible, now filled not with water but with dark, soft earth and clusters of wild, fragrant herbs. The scent of mint and thyme rises with every slow, gentle step we take, a living, breathing offering to a space that has long been dormant. Let your gaze wander across the open, grassy central area. This is where the Vestals would have walked in quiet contemplation, their simple, white robes whispering softly against the stone pathways. If you listen with more than your ears, you might just catch the echo of that sound, not a frightening, ghostly rustle, but a soothing, rhythmic whisper, like leaves brushing together in a distant part of the garden. It is a sound that speaks of calm, orderly routine, of daily prayers and solemn rituals performed with unwavering focus. The weight here is not one of imperial ambition or military might, but of sacred, steadfast duty. It is a feeling of profound, feminine tranquility that has seeped into the very bricks and has lingered long after the flame in the nearby Temple of Vesta was extinguished forever. This atmosphere invites a deep, settling peace. To stand in this courtyard is to understand a different dimension of Roman life, one built on devotion and quiet consistency rather than conquest. It is easy to imagine a Vestal pausing here under this same moon, looking up at these same stars, her thoughts turned not to the chaos of the outside world, but to the simple, vital task of keeping a single flame alive. That sense of sacred purpose seems to hang in the air, not as a demand, but as an invitation to release our own modern anxieties, to focus on a single, calming breath, and to find a similar center of quiet stability within ourselves. The empty pedestals do not speak of loss, but of a legacy of peace that this garden still generously offers to any who enter with a quiet heart. Leaving the secluded garden of the Vestals, a few more steps along the sacred way bring us to the very soul of this sacred complex, the Temple of Vesta itself. Its form is unlike any other structure in the Forum, a small, circular temple, its simplicity a stark and beautiful contrast to the grandiose rectangular basilicas and temples surrounding it. Under the moonlight, its ring of slender, white marble columns looks almost fragile, a delicate colonnade supporting a long-vanished roof and open to the heavens. It appears not as a ruin, but as a perfect, timeless symbol, a circle drawn in stone, eternal and complete. This was not a temple built to intimidate or to celebrate a single emperor's power. It was a home, a spiritual home for the very heart of Rome. For within these walls, the Vestal virgins tended a flame that was believed to be the literal life force of the city, an eternal fire that symbolized the safety, stability, and continuity of the entire Roman state. Step closer to the threshold where the ancient bronze doors once stood. Look inside the circular chamber, now open to the night sky. The floor is a mosaic of shadows, the sacred hearth at its center long since grown cold. The air here is still and carries a profound sense of absence, yet it is not an emptiness that brings sorrow. Instead, it feels like a held breath, a pause in time itself. The physical flame has been gone for over a millennium, its last wisp of smoke lost to the winds of history. But the idea of that flame, its purpose, seems to linger in the very molecules of the air. It represents a warmth that was more than physical. It was the warmth of community, the safety of a shared home, the unwavering light that allowed a civilization to grow and thrive. It was a promise that, no matter the chaos outside the walls, there was a center that held, a constant, gentle glow that could be relied upon. In this profound quiet, the metaphor becomes a tangible offering. That eternal flame, now absent, invites you to extinguish the flickering, anxious fires of your own mind. All the worries about tomorrow, the replaying of conversations from today, the endless lists of tasks yet to be completed, imagine them as so many scattered, sputtering candles. One by one, you can gently cup your hands around them and blow, watching the frantic light vanish into the peaceful dark. There is no need for that light here. The safety that the Vestals provided to an entire empire is now available to you in this moment, a spiritual sanctuary where you can lay down the burden of constant vigilance. The temple's circular form embraces you, its lack of hard corners a physical manifestation of a world without sharp edges or urgent demands. The only thing you are required to tend right now is your own breath. The only flame that needs to burn is the quiet, steady rhythm of your own heart. The simplicity of this place is its greatest gift. While the arches of the basilica shouted of power and the statues in the Forum celebrated individual glory, the Temple of Vesta whispers of something far more fundamental and enduring, the need for a center, a sacred hearth within our own lives. That hearth doesn't have to be a physical flame. It can be a practice, a memory, a single, calming thought that you can return to when the world feels too loud and demanding. It is the knowledge that beneath the chaos of the surface, there is a part of you that remains untouched, still and whole. Just as this temple has stood for 2,000 years, its essential form enduring long after its original function faded. As you stand before this quiet circle of marble, allow that feeling of core stability to seep into you. Let the cool night air wash over you, not as a chill, but as a cleansing balm, carrying away the last remnants of the day's heat and haste, leaving behind only the profound, gentle warmth of simply being. From the tranquil circle of Vesta's temple, our path along the sacred way leads us to a space that once thrummed with the very opposite of quiet contemplation. Before us rises the rostra, the great speaker's platform from which the fate of empires was swayed by the power of the human voice. Its massive, rectangular form, built of travertine marble and tough stone, feels both monumental and strangely intimate under the vast night sky. The front of the platform is still faced with the dark, sculpted marble panels that gave it its name, the beaks recovered from the prows of captured enemy ships. Run your fingers lightly over that cold, smooth stone, and you can feel the physical evidence of conquest and triumph, a history etched not just in words but in the very materials of this stage. Now the air is profoundly still, but close your eyes for just a moment and let the silence itself paint a picture of what once was. Imagine this space not in peaceful moonlight, but under the brutal, brilliant glare of the Roman sun. The air would have been thick with the smells of a crowded humanity, sweat, dust, and the faint, sharp scent of incense from a nearby temple. The rostra would not have been an empty platform, but a pulsing center of attention. Upon it stood figures like Cicero, his voice rising and falling in a carefully orchestrated rhythm, each pause and every thunderous declaration calculated to hold the massive, restless crowd in his thrall. The roar of that crowd would have been a physical force, a cacophony of cheers, jeers, shouts of approval, and rumblings of dissent, all crashing against the marble-faced platform like ocean waves. This was the birthplace of public opinion, where laws were championed, rivals were denounced, and the very concept of the Republic was debated for all to hear. Open your eyes once more to the reality of the night. That overwhelming noise has not just faded. It has been utterly erased, replaced by a quiet so deep it seems to have absorbed every last echo of those ancient speeches. The marble beneath your hand is no longer sun-warmed but cool, almost cold, having surrendered the day's heat to the night air. The platform stands empty, a barren stage awaiting performers who will never return. Look up past the sheer edge of the rostra's parapet. The last vestiges of twilight have completely vanished, and the sky has deepened to a velvety, rich black, against which the stars are now emerging with brilliant, sharp clarity. They are countless, these pinpricks of ancient light, scattered in patterns that have watched over this very spot for millennia. They saw the crowds gather, they witnessed the speeches, and they remain silent and constant, long after the orators and their audiences have turned to dust. This contrast is the heart of the moment, the memory of frantic human noise against the reality of cosmic quiet. The ambitions that played out on this stage, the desperate desires for fame, for power, for legacy, all seem to shrink to their true scale under the patient gaze of those stars. The cold marble of the rostra is a reminder of time's inexorable passage, a chill that has settled into the stone just as the centuries have settled upon this place. What felt so urgent, so vitally important to the thousands who once stood where you are standing, has been softened and smoothed by the relentless hands of time, its sharp edges worn away just like the stone steps leading up to the platform. The silence here is not an absence but a presence. It is the sound of time itself, a long, slow exhale that puts our own brief moments of worry and striving into a gentle, humbling perspective. The stars above, indifferent and beautiful, offer a profound comfort, reminding us that some things, like the peace of a quiet night, are far more enduring than the loudest applause. Just beyond the silent stage of the rostra, the path of the sacred way leads us directly to one of the most formidable and significant buildings in the entire forum, the Curia Julia, the Senate House of ancient Rome. Its appearance is strikingly different from the graceful columns of the temples we have passed. This is a building of pure, unadorned power, a massive, rectangular block of brick and mortar, its severe lines and formidable presence speaking not to the gods but to the absolute authority of mortal men. The original bronze doors, now long since removed, would have gleamed in the sunlight, but tonight their absence reveals a dark, cavernous opening, a gateway into a space that feels both immense and intensely private. A low, wide staircase of pale marble leads up to this threshold, each step worn down in the center by the weight of centuries of senatorial sandals. As we approach, the air grows even more still, as if the building itself is holding its breath, preserving the echoes of the monumental decisions once made within its walls. Step inside and the world outside seems to vanish completely. The interior is a single, vast and surprisingly austere hall, its dimensions feeling both grand and strangely intimate under the cloak of night. The high, coffered ceiling is lost in shadow, a dark vault that seems to stretch up into infinity. The walls, lined with 3 tiers of marble steps that once held the wooden benches for hundreds of senators, now stand bare and stark. The only light comes from the moonbeams that slice through the open doorway, illuminating swirling motes of ancient dust and casting long, geometric shadows across the intricate marble floor. This intricate pavement, a beautiful patchwork of colored stones laid in complex geometric patterns, is one of the few remnants of the room's original opulence. Its design circles within squares, interlocking labyrinths feel like a silent, symbolic language, a map of the complex political world that once operated directly above it. The air here is cool and dry, carrying the faint, clean scent of old stone and centuries of settled dust, a scent that feels peculiarly respectful, like that of a vast, disused library. Now let the silence of this hall paint a picture for you. Imagine this very room not in this profound quiet, but filled with the low, tense murmur of 300 toga-clad men. The air would have been thick with the heat of their bodies and the scent of wool and incense. At the far end, on a raised dais, the presiding consul or emperor would have sat, a figure of immense authority. Picture the great orators rising from their places on these very marble steps, their voices projecting through the cavernous space as they debated matters of war and peace, taxation and law, the fate of provinces, and the very soul of the Republic and later, the Empire. In this room, Cicero's voice would have thundered against the conspiracy of Catiline. Here, the arguments for and against Caesar's assassination would have been whispered in hushed, frantic tones in the shadows of these walls. This was the engine room of an empire, a place of fierce ambition, cunning rhetoric, and sometimes profound statesmanship. The debates held within these walls echoed across the known world, shaping the lives of millions. But all that remains of that furious energy today is this deep, resonant silence. The shouts, the persuasive arguments, the murmurs of agreement, and the rumblings of discontent, all have been absorbed by the thick brick walls and the soaring, shadowy ceiling. The stillness that has taken their place is not empty or forlorn. It is a heavy, tangible quiet, a presence that seems to press gently against your eardrums. It is the sound of concluded business, of debates that have been settled for nearly 2,000 years. There is a profound finality to this silence, a sense that all the urgent problems and passionate disagreements that once filled this space have been resolved, one way or another, by the relentless passage of time. To stand here now is to understand, on a visceral level, the ultimate futility of worry in the face of eternity. The great crises that caused senators to lose sleep, the political schemes that occupied their every waking thought, have all been reduced to paragraphs in history books, their urgency completely dissolved. This realization is not a sad one, but rather a deeply comforting release. The Curia Julia, in its current state of majestic repose, becomes a temple not to power but to letting go. The very same space that once vibrated with the anxieties of governing a vast empire now offers a sanctuary from our own modern anxieties. The pressures of your day, the deadlines, the interpersonal conflicts, the endless stream of information, they are the modern equivalent of those senatorial debates. They feel all-consuming, vitally important in the moment, but this immense, quiet hall invites you to view them from a new perspective, from the peaceful vantage point of centuries hence. Imagine placing your own worries onto the empty marble benches, leaving them there for the dust to settle upon. The stillness of the Curia encourages a restful contemplation, a gentle disengagement from the mental chatter and strategic thinking that can dominate our minds. It is a monumental reminder that just as the Roman Senate's most urgent crises eventually found their resolution and faded into this perfect quiet, so too will the concerns that feel so heavy to you now. In this hall of ended arguments, you are granted permission to lay down your own internal debates and simply rest within the profound and peaceful silence. And now, as we step away from the silent politics of the Curia, our eyes are drawn upward by a triumphant silhouette that seems to capture the very moonlight. The Arch of Septimius Severus stands before us, a colossal triple gateway of white marble that has straddled the sacred way for nearly 1800 years. Under the full moon, its surface is transformed. The bright Italian sun would reveal every stain and weathering, but the moonlight performs a different kind of magic. It softens the stone, bathing the entire structure in a gentle, phosphorescent glow, while the deep recesses of its carved panels become pools of velvety shadow, giving the entire monument a breathtaking sense of depth and drama. We walk closer, drawn to the intricate stories frozen in stone upon its flanks. Move in close until you can almost feel the cool marble radiating its stored night chill. Lean in and let your gaze trace the intricate narratives carved across its surface. The moonlight, slanting at a low angle, catches the high relief of the figures, making them appear almost three-dimensional, as if they are about to step out of the stone and continue their long, interrupted march. Here, Roman soldiers raise their standards in victory. There, captured Parthian nobles kneel in submission. Emperor Septimius Severus and his sons, Caracalla and Geta, stand repeatedly in their chariots, their stone hands forever frozen in gestures of command and triumph. The level of detail is astonishing. You can see the intricate links of chainmail, the folds of heavy cloaks, the straining muscles of the horses. These are not abstract symbols, they are frozen moments from military campaigns fought in the deserts of the East, a vast, sprawling story of conquest and imperial power told without a single word. But listen to the silence that now envelops this monument to war. The triumphant shouts of the soldiers, the blare of war trumpets, the roar of the crowds that once gathered here to celebrate these very victories. All of that furious sound has been utterly absorbed by the centuries, leaving behind only these silent stone witnesses. The arch was built to immortalize the chaos and glory of battle, to cement a dynasty's legacy in the physical heart of the city. Yet now it serves a different, almost opposite purpose. In the profound peace of the night, these frenetic scenes of conflict become a powerful metaphor for the internal battles we all carry with us to bed each night. The arch, in all its majestic stillness, invites you to lay down your own weapons. Consider the intricate carvings not as celebrations of war, but as representations of your own daily struggles. That scene of a soldier relentlessly pushing forward, is that not the part of you that forces its way through a difficult workday? The panel showing the emperor accepting the surrender of a rival, does it not mirror the small victories and defeats of your own personal and professional life? We all have our own internal Parthian campaigns, our own daily battles for control, recognition, and peace. We carry the armor of our responsibilities and the weight of our ambitions, just like the legionaries carved into this marble. But the arch, standing in such perfect, peaceful repose, shows us that even the most hard-fought campaigns must eventually come to an end. The battle is over. The fighting is done, so as you stand before this monument, allow its silent, moonlit grandeur to give you permission to do the same. Visualize your own worries, your stresses, your mental list of things to conquer tomorrow as scenes carved onto a similar arch. See them clearly, acknowledge their presence, and then, one by one, let the cool moonlight soften their sharp edges. Watch as the details of your anxieties blur into the gentle shadows, losing their urgency and their power to command your attention. The Roman Empire that this arch celebrated is long gone, its urgent battles irrelevant to the quiet of this night. Your own battles, too, can be surrendered if only until the morning. Let the immense, enduring stability of the arch support you. It has borne the weight of its own heavy history for centuries. It can certainly help you carry the weight of yours for tonight. There is no need to fight any longer. The only victory that matters now is the victory of rest, the peaceful surrender to the deep and welcoming quiet of the night. Continuing our quiet journey, the sacred way leads us forward, and our footsteps slow as the pavement beneath us begins to change. The familiar, worn travertine gives way to a patch of something darker, almost black in the moonlight. This is the lapis niger, the black stone, a somber and enigmatic slab of ancient marble that seems to absorb the light rather than reflect it. It is one of the oldest and most mysterious sites in the entire forum, a place where history fades into a profound and impenetrable legend. There are no grand columns or towering walls here, just this simple, dark square set into the ground, a stark and silent puzzle that has intrigued scholars and visitors for centuries. As we stand upon this dark marble, it feels different underfoot, cooler, smoother, holding a deeper chill than the surrounding stone. The air here feels heavier, thicker, with a sense of ancient reverence and unanswered questions. This spot was always considered sacred, even by the Romans themselves, who believed it marked a tomb of immense antiquity. Some legends whispered it was the final resting place of Romulus, the mythical founder of the city. Others suggested it held the remains of a primal shepherd king named Faustulus. The truth is, no one knows for certain. Excavations beneath this very stone have revealed an ancient altar and a pillar bearing one of the oldest known Latin inscriptions, a text so archaic that its full meaning remains frustratingly just out of reach, a language from a time before Rome was truly Rome. This enduring mystery, this refusal to yield a definitive answer, is the very essence of the lapis niger's gift to us tonight. In our modern world, we are conditioned to seek answers for everything. We carry devices in our pockets that promise instant access to all the world's knowledge, and we feel a subtle anxiety when a question remains unresolved. We want to know the who, the what, the why, and the when. We crave certainty, but here in this sacred and shadowy patch of ground, certainty is not on offer. For over 2,000 years, this stone has kept its secret, challenging the greatest minds and quieting the most persistent inquiries with its silent, dark presence. It is a powerful testament to the fact that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. They are meant to be experienced, to be felt, to remind us that the world does not owe us an explanation for everything. So as you stand here, feeling the cool, dark marble beneath your feet, let this ancient enigma serve as an invitation to release the relentless need to know, to figure everything out, to have all the answers to the questions that circle in your own mind. Think of the worries that keep you awake at night, the problems you feel you must solve before you can find rest. Imagine gathering them all up, the unresolved conflicts, the uncertain future, the nagging questions about your career, your relationships, your purpose. Now visualize yourself gently laying them all down upon this dark, accepting stone. Watch as they settle into its opaque, non-reflective surface and simply disappear, absorbed into its timeless mystery. The lapis niger does not ask for your understanding, it asks only for your presence. It encourages a state of being where not knowing is not a failure, but a form of liberation. There is a profound peace available in surrendering the exhausting effort to constantly decipher and control the narrative of your life. The ancient Romans who revered this spot understood that some things are simply sacred, set apart from the realm of human explanation, and meant to be approached with awe and quiet acceptance. You can adopt that same posture now. You do not need to know what tomorrow will bring. You do not need to have everything figured out. For this moment, right here in the heart of the ancient world, it is enough to simply be. To breathe, to feel the cool night air and witness the stars above a mystery that has outlasted empires. Allow the weight of unanswered questions to lift from your shoulders, leaving behind a quiet, open space filled not with uncertainty, but with a deep and restful peace. Ahead, the path opens onto a wide space, and there they stand, a row of majestic, solitary columns reaching for the stars as if holding up the very fabric of the night. This is the Temple of Saturn, and its 8 remaining pillars are perhaps the most iconic silhouette in the entire forum. Under the full moon, the grayish-white marble of the columns takes on a soft, luminous quality, their fluted surfaces appearing to glow from within. They support a massive, ornate entablature, a heavy lintel of stone carved with intricate inscriptions that speak of restorations long past. This temple was no mere place of worship. It was the very treasury of the Roman state, the fortress where the empire's vast wealth of gold and silver was stored, and the heart of a cult to a most unusual god. Saturn was not a god of relentless industry, but a deity of a forgotten golden age, a time of perfect peace and abundance, when humans did not have to labor and the earth provided all that was needed. Let your eyes travel up the towering columns, following their clean, vertical lines as they slice through the darkness. They have stood through earthquakes, fires, and the slow plunder of centuries, yet they remain, a testament to an enduring strength that has nothing left to prove. The air around the temple feels different, cooler and drier, carrying the crisp, clean scent of marble that has been washed by night dew. There is a powerful stability here, a sense of being anchored in something ancient and unshakable. In its heyday, this structure represented the absolute peak of material security. The state's riches were literally housed within its foundations, but the deeper message of Saturn was not about hoarding that wealth. It was about the freedom that comes from having enough, the liberation from constant striving and fear. The god's great festival, the Saturnalia, was a time when social roles were reversed. Slaves were served by their masters, and all work ceased in a joyous celebration of rest and equality. As you stand in the presence of these silent pillars, let them become a physical representation of your own capacity for stability and support. Each one of those 8 columns is like a core strength within you, your health, your resilience, your relationships, your inherent worth, things that remain solid long after the day's fluctuating fortunes have passed. Imagine the worries of the day, the mental lists of tasks, the anxieties about finances or obligations, as a heavy, invisible weight you have been carrying in your arms all day long. Now picture yourself gently setting that entire burden down at the base of these timeless pillars. Visualize the weight sinking into the earth, absorbed by the profound permanence of this place, leaving your hands and shoulders feeling light and free. The temple, in its ruined state, is no longer a vault for gold, but it has become a sanctuary for a different kind of treasure, the treasure of deep, unshakable peace. The mythology of Saturn offers a profound permission slip for our modern, overworked minds. His golden age was defined by the absence of labor. In that primordial time, there was no word for struggle because everything needed was provided effortlessly. While we cannot return to such a mythical state, we can, for this night, invoke its spirit. The relentless internal pressure to produce, to achieve, to constantly be doing, that is the antithesis of Saturn's true gift. His temple now stands open to the stars, its treasury empty of coin but overflowing with the opportunity for true rest. Allow the quiet grandeur of these pillars to reframe your understanding of abundance. Real wealth is not just what you acquire, but what you can afford to let go of. It is the spaciousness in your schedule, the quiet in your mind, the ability to simply be present in a beautiful moment without feeling the urge to capture it, share it, or monetize it. Let the cool marble remind you that you, too, have a foundation this solid within you, a core that does not need to be constantly building and striving to prove its value. You are allowed to stop, you are encouraged to rest. The pillars have held fast for 2,000 years. They can certainly hold the space for you tonight. Our path now curves gently to the left, leading us away from the Temple of Saturn and into the embrace of a truly colossal footprint in the stone. This is the Basilica Julia, and to call it a building feels almost inadequate. It is a vast, rectangular field of foundations and broken columns, a space defined more by its staggering scale and haunting absence than by any remaining walls. We step across its low, wide threshold, moving from the defined path of the sacred way into an immense open plaza sheltered only by the night sky. The ground is a complex patchwork of different colored marbles, slabs of green, gray, and rose-veined stone that once formed the floor of the grandest courthouse and commercial exchange in the ancient world. Under the moonlight, these polished stones gleam softly, like a tranquil, reflective lake of stone. The sheer size of the space is the first thing that envelops you. Rows of sturdy pedestals march in perfect lines across the enormous foundation, marking where towering columns once held up a magnificent multi-story roof. Now those columns are gone, and the roof is a memory, leaving the Basilica Julia utterly open to the elements. Your gaze is drawn upward, following the lines of those pedestals to the infinite, star-dusted blackness above. The feeling is not of being in a ruin, but of standing in a grand, roofless cathedral where the constellations themselves form the only ceiling. The air here is still and surprisingly resonant, carrying a faint, cool dampness that rises from the ancient stone. It is the quietest place we have visited yet, a silence so profound and complete it feels like a substance you could touch. Now, in this immense acoustic chamber, try a small, gentle experiment. Take a slow, deep breath and then release it with the softest possible sigh. Listen, the sound, barely audible at its source, doesn't just fade away. It seems to lift from your lips and expand, hanging for a moment in the spacious air before dissolving slowly, its delicate reverberations traveling across the wide expanse and seeping into the very stones. In the bustling daytime of ancient Rome, this hall would have been a cacophony of overwhelming noise, the voices of lawyers pleading their cases before 4 simultaneous courts would have risen in a competitive din. The clatter of currency exchange tables, the chatter of merchants sealing deals, the shuffling of hundreds of sandaled feet on this very marble, all of it would have combined into a roaring hum of civic and commercial life. This was the sound of Rome's relentless engine, a constant, vibrant noise representing the endless transactions, arguments, and interactions of a thriving metropolis. But that roaring hum has been silenced for over a millennium and a half. The frantic energy of commerce, the passionate arguments of litigation, the gossip and the news, all of it has been stilled. The sound waves that once vibrated through this air have long since dissipated into nothingness, leaving behind this deep, resonant quiet as their only successor. This acoustic emptiness is not a void, it is a presence. It is a powerful, tangible demonstration that all noise, no matter how urgent or overwhelming, is temporary. It rises, it clamors for attention, and then, inevitably, it fades, leaving only silence in its wake. This is the ultimate fate of all our sound and fury. Let this profound quiet of the Basilica Julia become a mirror for your own internal world. That constant internal chatter, the stream of thoughts, the rehashing of conversations, the planning, the worrying, the mental list-making is the modern equivalent of the Basilica's ancient din. It is the sound of your own personal, internal city constantly at work. Just as the stone floor of this hall absorbed the footsteps of countless Romans, your mind absorbs the countless thoughts and stimuli of each day. But here, in this sacred emptiness, you're given a profound invitation to follow the example of the ruins themselves. You are invited to let your internal chatter echo out and fade away, just like that soft sigh we released into the night. Imagine each of your swirling thoughts as a single, distinct sound in this vast space. Picture a worry about tomorrow, visualize it as a spoken word, and release it from your mind. Watch as it travels out into the open air of the basilica, its volume diminishing with every foot it travels until it becomes a faint whisper and then merges into the welcoming silence. Now take a nagging to-do list item and do the same. Let the thought form and then let it go, sending it out across the marble field to be absorbed by the same peace that has absorbed the voices of the ancient Romans. One by one, thought by thought, you can clear the hall of your mind. There is no need to fight the thoughts or force them away. Simply acknowledge their presence and then grant them the freedom to echo out into this immense, accepting quiet where they will inevitably lose their power and fade into nothingness. The enduring lesson of the Basilica Julia is that silence was always the foundation, even beneath the noisiest of human enterprises. The solid marble floor was there, steady and silent, even as the roar of business thundered above it. In the same way, beneath the constant activity of your own mind, there is a foundation of deep, natural quiet. It is your own essential consciousness, a still and aware presence that merely observes the noise without being defined by it. The ruinous state of this great hall is not a tragedy, it is a revelation. It shows us what remains when the transient business of life concludes, the transactions are complete. The arguments are settled, the deals are done. All that is left is the peaceful, spacious ground of being. As you stand in the center of this grand, open space, allow yourself to sink into that foundational silence within you. Let the empty pedestals remind you that you can temporarily dismantle the structures of your busy mind. There is no case to plead, no deal to broker, no problem to solve in this moment. There is only the cool marble beneath your feet, the vast starry sky above, and the profound, echoing silence that heals, rests, and restores. Leaving the vast echoing silence of the Basilica Julia, our gaze is drawn across the forum by a sight of singular elegance. Against the deep velvet of the night sky, 3 slender columns rise to a magnificent, intricately carved capital, standing apart from the surrounding ruins with a dignified grace. This is all that remains of the Temple of Castor and Pollux, and even in its fragmentary state, it possesses an aura of mythic resonance that feels incredibly immediate. These are not just columns of stone, they are a direct bridge to the starry expanse above, a monument to one of the most beloved stories of brotherly devotion in the ancient world. The temple was dedicated to the divine twins, born from the union of the king of the gods, Jupiter, and a mortal queen. Their legend tells of an unbreakable bond, a loyalty so profound that when one brother was mortal and the other divine, they chose to share their immortality, splitting eternity between them so they would never be parted. Look closely at the columns themselves. They are Corinthian, the most ornate of the classical orders, and the moonlight catches the delicate stone acanthus leaves that curl gracefully at the top of each capital. This intricate carving, a symbol of enduring beauty and growth, stands in quiet contrast to the simpler, more severe Doric columns of the Temple of Saturn we passed earlier. It speaks to a different kind of strength, not the brute force of the treasury, but the refined, enduring strength of fidelity and love. As your eyes travel up the fluted shafts, follow their lines as they point directly to the heavens. There, nestled in the inky blackness, you will find their eternal home, the constellation Gemini. On this clear night, the twin stars, Castor and Pollux, shine with a distinctive, steady gleam, seeming to cast their own gentle light upon the very columns raised in their honor. This celestial connection is not a mere coincidence imposed by later poets. It was fundamental to the Roman understanding of these gods. They were the protectors of sailors, appearing as sent. Elmo's fire on the rigging of ships during storms, a literal guiding light in treacherous seas. They were also seen as patrons of the Roman state itself, their mythical intervention in an early battle said to have secured a crucial victory for the fledgling republic. This intertwining of earth and sky, of human story and celestial map, offers a profoundly comforting metaphor for our own lives. The myth of the twins is ultimately about the power of connection, the assurance that we do not have to navigate the dark waters of life alone. Just as the stars of Gemini are fixed in their eternal dance, their light a constant in the ever-turning sky, so too can we cultivate connections that provide guidance and stability. Think of the people in your own life who have been your guiding stars, the family member whose unwavering belief in you feels like a constant light, the friend whose counsel has always steered you true, the memory of a loved one whose influence still guides your steps long after they are gone. These relationships are our personal constellations, fixed points of love and support that help us navigate our way through periods of uncertainty and shadow. The temple's ruins remind us that while empires fall and marble crumbles, the stories we tell about loyalty, sacrifice, and connection are the true immortals, passed down through generations and written in the stars themselves. In the presence of this temple, you can almost feel that benevolent, brotherly energy softening the edges of the night. The air here feels slightly warmer, carrying a gentle, reassuring quality. It is easy to imagine the twins not as distant, aloof gods, but as compassionate companions on the journey, their celestial light a promise that you are seen and not alone. Allow that feeling to settle over you now. Let the sight of the three standing columns, anchored firmly to the earth yet reaching for their stellar counterparts, symbolize the bridge between your own struggles and the support that is always available to you. You carry your own inner light, but you are also part of a wider constellation of care. The worries you may have laid down at earlier stops on our walk, the burdens of the rostra, the mysteries of the black stone, feel lighter here, shared by the symbolic presence of these eternal brothers. There is no need to brave the stormy seas of your thoughts by yourself. Simply look up, find those twin stars winking gently in the vast canopy, and breathe in the quiet assurance that even in the deepest silence, you are held in a network of connection that is as ancient and as enduring as the stars themselves. Now let your gaze drift toward the center of the forum, to a small, unassuming mound of brick and stone that is easily overlooked next to the towering columns and grand arches. This is the umbilicus urbis, the navel of the world. In the sprawling, complex body of the Roman Empire, this was believed to be its literal belly button, the symbolic center from which all distances were measured and to which all roads ultimately led. It was not a grand temple, but a small, round shrine, a physical point that anchored an entire worldview. Today, it is little more than a ruinous core of red brick, a humble stump in the earth, yet the idea it represents holds a profound and immediate power for us tonight. While empires used it to map their vast territories, we can use its symbolism to map the inner landscape of our own being, finding our own center amidst the scattered fragments of our thoughts. Kneel down, if only in your mind, and bring your attention level with this ancient marker. Observe its simplicity. There are no carvings to decipher, no majestic scale to overwhelm you, just a quiet, circular foundation that has endured. The bricks are warm from the departed sun, and their rough, porous texture seems to breathe with a slow, patient energy. In a place defined by ambition and external grandeur, the umbilicus whispers of something far more fundamental, the importance of a fixed point, a place of return. For the Romans, all journeys began and ended here. For you, in this moment, all the frantic journeys of your mind into the worries of tomorrow or the regrets of yesterday can find their way back to a single, calming point of origin. This concept of a center is not just a geographical one, it is a physiological and psychological reality. With your attention focused on this quiet ruin, turn your awareness inward to the very center of your own body. Feel the simple, reliable rhythm of your heartbeat. It is your own personal umbilicus, the quiet, constant drum that has been beating your entire life, through every triumph and every sorrow, often unnoticed but never ceasing. Now bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the cool night air as it enters your body, filling your lungs, and the gentle, warm release as you exhale. Your breath is your own sacred road, connecting you to the world outside and to the deep, quiet world within. The rise and fall of your chest is a tide as reliable as any ocean, a rhythm that has been with you since your first moment and will remain until your last. In our modern lives, we are constantly pulled from our center. Our attention is fractured by screens, our schedules pull us in a dozen directions, and our thoughts often feel like a crowd jostling in a busy forum. We lose touch with the simple, grounding truth of our own existence, the beat of our heart and the flow of our breath. The umbilicus urbis, this broken navel of a fallen empire, now serves as a powerful reminder to counteract that fragmentation. It invites you to let the external markers of status and achievement, the modern equivalents of triumphal arches and Senate debates, fade into the background. Their urgency is an illusion. What is truly real, what is truly enduring in this very second, is the sensation of air moving in and out of your body and the steady, quiet pulse that sustains your life. So, as you contemplate this ancient center of the world, allow it to guide you back to your own. With each inhalation, imagine drawing all your scattered energy, all your fragmented attention, back to this central point within you. Visualize your thoughts and worries as roads leading away from a central square, and with each exhalation, imagine those roads growing quiet and still, their traffic ceasing, until all that remains is the empty, peaceful plaza at your core. The brickwork of the umbilicus is solid and enduring. Your own heartbeat shares that same enduring quality. It does not need to strive or prove anything. It simply is. It is the unshakable ground of your being, the quiet anchor that holds you fast no matter how turbulent the seas of life may become. In the heart of the ancient world, you have found a mirror for the quiet, unwavering center of your own self. Rest there in that profound simplicity for as long as you wish. The world and all its demands will wait. Our path now curves gently, bringing us to the eastern end of the forum, where a solitary, magnificent arch stands sentinel. The Arch of Titus, with its single, soaring passageway, appears both triumphant and lonely against the backdrop of the Palatine Hill. The moonlight, which softened the grand arch of Septimius Severus, plays differently here. It strikes the deep relief carvings on the inner walls of the archway, not with a gentle glow, but with a stark, dramatic contrast. The brightest highlights gleam on the highest points of the sculpted marble, while the deepest cuts are swallowed by impenetrable shadows. This play of light and dark doesn't just illuminate the story carved in stone. It begins to transform it, pulling the narrative away from historical fact and into the realm of universal emotion. Step beneath the arch itself into the cool shade of its vault. Look up at the famous panel to your left. Here, the story of a brutal military victory is frozen in marble. Roman soldiers march in triumph, carrying the sacred spoils plundered from the temple in Jerusalem. The massive, seven-branched menorah, the silver trumpets, and the table of the shewbread. In the full light of day, this is a scene of unambiguous conquest and subjugation, a celebration of imperial power at its most overwhelming. But tonight, the deep shadows cast by the moonlight change everything. The determined faces of the soldiers are half hidden in darkness. The intricate details of the looted treasures become suggestions rather than explicit statements. The entire procession begins to lose its sharp, historical edges, morphing into a more abstract pattern of light and shadow, a dance of shapes that speaks less of a specific war and more of the ancient, cyclical nature of human conflict itself. The other panel shows the Emperor Titus, crowned by victory, riding in his chariot. Yet the moonlight obscures his imperial grandeur, focusing instead on the sweeping curves of the horses and the billowing fabric of the figures. What remains is not the glory of a single man, but the ghostly essence of triumph itself, a fleeting moment of celebration that, like all moments, was destined to pass. The arch, in its original intent, was meant to immortalize a specific, crushing victory, but time and the night have collaborated to reframe its message. The very shadows that hide the harsh details invite a different kind of perception. They encourage you to look past the what of the event and to feel the weight of it, the collective grief, the pride, the loss, and the transience of it all. This shift from the specific to the abstract is a profound gift for a weary mind. The arch, in this light, becomes a powerful symbol for the process of forgiveness and release. Consider the spoils depicted on the relief not as golden treasures, but as the burdens we all carry, the grudges we hold onto, the past hurts we replay in our minds, the sharp memories of conflicts we can never truly undo. We polish these mental artifacts, keeping their details sharp and painful, just as the Romans proudly displayed their plundered trophies. We carry them in our own internal triumphal processions, allowing them to define parts of our story. But the moonlight on this arch shows us another way. It demonstrates how the passage of time and a shift in perspective can soften the hardest edges of our past. The shadows don't erase the carvings, they simply integrate them into a larger, more peaceful whole, robbing them of their power to cause fresh pain. Allow the abstract beauty of these shadowy patterns to inspire a quiet internal release. You can acknowledge that a difficult event happened, just as the arch acknowledges the historical reality of the Roman conquest. But you are no longer required to carry its sharp, painful details with you into the quiet of the night. Imagine those old hurts, those lingering resentments, as scenes carved onto your own inner arch. Now visualize the soft, forgiving light of the moon passing over them. Watch as the details that caused you so much anguish begin to blur and soften. The harsh lines of an old argument become a gentle gray smudge. The piercing memory of a betrayal loses its sharp point and merges with the background. What remains is not the specific pain, but the general, valuable lesson it taught you, the same way the arch now offers a lesson in peace, not war. The Arch of Titus, in all its monumental permanence, ultimately tells a story of impermanence. The empire that built it is gone. The emperor it celebrated is dust. The treasures it depicts were lost to history long ago. Only the stone remains, and even its message is being gently rewritten by the moon. This is the deepest encouragement to forgive, not necessarily for the sake of others, but for your own peace. Forgiveness, in this context, is simply the decision to let the shadows of the past soften. It is the conscious choice to stop carrying the heavy spoils of old battles and to allow those memories to become integrated, neutral patterns in the landscape of your life, stripped of their emotional charge. As you stand beneath this ancient monument, feel the cool, quiet air moving freely through its open passageway. That same air can move through you, carrying with it the last vestiges of old tensions. The triumph that matters now is not one of conquest but of release, the victorious feeling of setting down a weight you were never meant to carry forever. The arch has stood for nearly 2,000 years, a testament to a victory that once was. You can leave it now as a testament to the peace you are choosing in this present moment. From the triumphant shadows of the arch, our quiet footsteps now lead us away from the main thoroughfare toward a secluded corner nestled at the foot of the Palatine Hill. Here, tucked away as if guarding a secret, we find the spring of Juturna. This is no grand monument built by human hands, but something older and more primal. A natural freshwater spring that has bubbled up from the deep earth for thousands of years, long before Rome was even a dream. The air changes as we approach, becoming cooler and carrying a distinct, clean dampness. The sounds of our steps are muffled by a soft, mossy ground. And before us lies a rectangular pool, its surface a sheet of obsidian black, so perfectly still it seems less like water and more like a portal into another, quieter dimension of the night. The pool is a perfect mirror, holding the entire night sky in its dark embrace. Every star, every wisp of the Milky Way is captured with such clarity on its surface that it becomes difficult to tell where the real sky ends and the reflection begins. The towering, dark cypress trees that ring the space are duplicated perfectly in the water, their reflections standing upside down in a world of absolute calm. There is no ripple, no movement at all. This profound stillness feels sacred, a stark contrast to the vibrant, noisy purpose this place once held. In ancient times, this was not a place of quiet contemplation, but a bustling, vital spot where the Vestal virgins would come to draw sacred water for their rituals. It was a place of healing, dedicated to the nymph Juturna, a goddess of springs and fountains. the water itself was believed to have curative powers, and the air would have been filled with the chatter of attendants and the prayers of the ailing seeking solace. But all that activity has long since stilled, leaving behind this profound quiet. The pool no longer serves the sick or the priestesses. Its purpose has been refined by time into something simpler and more universal. It has become a mirror for the soul. As you stand at its edge, your own form is reflected back at you from the starry field, a faint, ghostly silhouette connected to the cosmos. It's an image that immediately invites introspection, a natural pause to look not just at the reflection, but into it. All day long, our eyes are flooded with images, screens, text, faces, traffic, an endless stream of visual information that demands our attention and processing. These images accumulate behind our eyes like a cluttered gallery, leaving a residue of mental static that can make true rest elusive. The bright, sharp pictures of the day's worries, its frustrations, and its endless to-do lists continue to flicker on the back of our eyelids long after we've closed them. This dark, still water offers the perfect antidote to that visual overload. It invites you to use its surface as a gentle, cleansing filter for your mind's eye. Begin by simply gazing into the star-filled reflection. Let your focus soften, allowing the specific points of light to blur slightly into a soft, glowing haze. Now, one by one, bring those insistent images from your day to the surface of the water. See that worrying email you read, that difficult conversation you had, that crowded street you navigated. Visualize each one as a bright, clear picture. And then gently release it. Watch as you drop this mental picture onto the surface of the pool. But instead of causing a ripple or a splash, see how the dark, absorbent water simply accepts it. The bright, sharp edges of the image immediately soften. Its colors drain away into monochrome, and within a second it dissolves completely. Its light extinguished into the peaceful blackness, replaced once more by the serene reflection of the stars. This is not an act of suppression, but of compassionate release. You are not erasing the events of the day. You are simply cleansing your sensory palette, washing the slate of your mind clean of the day's accumulated visual noise. With each image you let go of, you can feel a corresponding release of tension behind your own eyes. The pressure to keep processing, to keep seeing, begins to ease. The pool shows you that stillness is not nothingness. It is a state of profound receptivity. By letting go of the frantic images, you make space for a different kind of vision. The gentle, internal awareness of your breath, the soothing darkness behind your closed eyelids, the quiet rhythm of your own heart. The water, having absorbed the prayers and hopes of countless Romans, now performs a new kind of miracle, absorbing the digital age anxieties that clutter our modern minds, leaving behind only the pristine, quiet reflection of the eternal night sky, a timeless balm for a weary soul. Leaving the quiet mirror of Juturna's pool behind, our path leads us to a structure that seems to embody a different kind of stillness altogether, one born not from nature but from a profound human devotion. Ahead, its lofty columns bathed in the softest moonlight, stands the Temple of Antoninus and Faustina. It is a sight that commands a different kind of reverence. A wide, gentle staircase of pale marble, worn smooth and inviting in the center by centuries of footfalls, leads up to a high platform, and upon that platform, a row of towering, fluted columns of greenish-gray Cipollino marble rise to support a massive, intact entablature. Unlike so many other ruins that stand open and skeletal to the stars, this temple feels strangely complete, almost protected, its deep porch a sheltered space of deep shadows and quiet dignity. What makes this place so uniquely peaceful, however, is not just its preservation, but the story etched into the very stone above its entrance, a story that reframes the entire purpose of this sacred space. The inscription on the architrave, still crisp and clear after nearly 2,000 years, tells a simple, poignant tale. It reads, Divo Antonino et Divi Faustini, to the divine Antoninus and the divine Faustina. This temple was not commissioned by the Senate to celebrate a military victory or to appease a powerful god. It was built by an emperor, Antoninus Pius, solely to honor his beloved wife Faustina after her untimely death. And in a move almost unheard of in the annals of Roman history, when Antoninus himself died 2 decades later, the Senate simply added his name to the dedication, entombing them together in a shared sanctuary. In a city whose stones shout of power, politics, and conquest, this temple speaks in a gentle whisper of something far more enduring: love. It stands as a monumental promise made real in stone, a husband's grief and adoration transformed into a permanent residence for his wife's memory and eventually his own. As you ascend the first few worn steps, you can feel a shift in the atmosphere. The air within the deep portico is cool and still, smelling faintly of the unique, slightly metallic scent of the Cipollino marble, a stone veined like sliced onion. The space between the massive columns feels like a series of tranquil portals, framing different views of the sleeping forum. You can lean against one of these cool, solid pillars and feel its immense grounding strength. While the rostra spoke of fleeting fame and the curia of ended arguments, this temple emanates a sense of faithful constancy. The love it commemorates was not a dramatic, tragic romance, but something perhaps even more powerful, a deep, abiding partnership that lasted for over 30 years, described by historians as remarkably harmonious and devoted. In honoring that quiet, consistent devotion, the temple itself seems to have absorbed its energy, becoming a sanctuary not for the divine in the mythical sense, but for the divine in the human capacity for loyalty and care. This idea offers a deeply soothing meditation for a restless mind. The enduring stone becomes a metaphor for a love that is not frantic or anxious, but steady and reliable. In our own lives, we often exhaust ourselves with the turbulence of emotion, the frantic search for connection, the fear of loss, the anxiety that we are not loved enough or loving well enough. The temple, in its quiet grandeur, presents a different model. It does not speak of the passionate, flickering flame, but of the deep, slow-burning ember that provides warmth long after the more dramatic fires have burnt out. It represents the peace that comes from a bond that is simply assumed, a foundational part of one's world, as permanent and unwavering as these marble columns. This is the love that allows for rest because it does not demand constant proof or reaffirmation. It is simply there, a silent, supporting presence in the background of one's life. And this leads to the temple's most profound offering tonight, the concept of eternal rest. Antoninus Pius did not build a monument to his own glory. He built a home for his wife's spirit, a place where she could rest in peace for all eternity. The very existence of this structure, still standing after all this time, is a testament to the fact that his wish was granted. In this context, eternal rest transforms from a vague religious concept into a tangible, physical reality. You can see it, you can touch it, you can stand within its shelter. The temple becomes a powerful symbol that rest is not a passive state, but a sacred space that can be created and honored. It gives us permission to think of our own need for rest not as a sign of weakness or laziness, but as a dignified, necessary state of being, as worthy of dedication as any temple. So, as you stand within the shelter of this portico, let the story of Antoninus and Faustina invite you to create a similar sanctuary within your own mind. Imagine building a personal temple not for striving, not for achieving, but simply for resting. Visualize its sturdy columns as the supportive structures of your life, your breath, your heartbeat, the simple fact of your existence. Its high, protective roof is the permission you grant yourself to cease all labor, both mental and physical. The quiet darkness within is the peace you allow to settle over your swirling thoughts. The love that this temple represents is the compassionate, gentle attitude you can extend to yourself in this moment, releasing the need to be anything other than exactly who you are, right here, right now. The emperor's most enduring legacy was not a law he passed or a battle he won, but this peaceful space he created for his beloved. In this moonlit silence, you can enact a similar, gentle coup, declaring that for tonight, the most important and noble thing you can do is to simply rest, held and cherished in the quiet heart of the ancient world. And as we move on from the temple's profound sanctuary, our path takes us past a different kind of structure, one whose purpose was not spiritual or political, but utterly essential to the life of the ancient city. To our right, sprawling along the base of the Palatine Hill, are the low, substantial foundations of the Horia Vespasiani, the great granaries of Emperor Vespasian. These were not palaces or temples, but vast, practical warehouses, built with an emphasis on strength and security over beauty. Their walls are thick, their remaining doorways small and functional, designed to protect the most vital treasure of all, the grain that fed the million souls of Rome. In its day, this complex would have been a hive of constant, mundane activity. The rumble of carts delivering the harvest from Egypt and North Africa, the shouts of laborers, the meticulous record-keeping of clerks, the rustling, life-sustaining mountains of wheat and barley stored within the cool, dark storerooms. Now a deep and total silence has settled over these foundations. The grain is gone, the carts are dust, the bustling energy of commerce and survival has vanished without a trace. Stand here for a moment and feel the quality of this particular quiet. It is different from the sacred hush of the temples or the resonant stillness of the basilica. This is a quiet of emptiness, of a vital function now completely at rest. The great storerooms, once crammed to their ceilings with the very stuff of life, now hold nothing but shadows and cool, still air. They are vast, hollow containers, their purpose fulfilled and finished. This emptiness is not a sad or desolate void, however. In the context of our walk, it transforms into a powerful and inviting metaphor. Just as these granaries once received and held the harvest, you can use this image to consciously receive and hold the experiences of your day, not to dwell on them, but to store them away, creating an inner space of receptive emptiness. Think of your mind at the end of a long day as a granary that has been filled to the brim. Throughout your waking hours, you have taken in so much: sights, sounds, conversations, bits of information, fragments of worry, sparks of joy. Your mental storerooms are crowded, bustling with the day's harvest. This internal noise can make true rest feel impossible, as if there is no room for stillness because every corner is already occupied. The silent Horia Vespasiani offer a different way. They demonstrate that it is not only possible but necessary to empty the granaries from time to time. The Romans understood that you could not simply keep piling new grain on top of the old. The stores had to be rotated, the spaces cleared, to prevent rot and to make room for the new harvest to come. Your mind operates on the very same principle, so let's perform a gentle mental unloading. Visualize the bustling contents of your mind, all those thoughts, sensations, and memories as sacks of grain. See them clearly, these countless bundles that represent everything you've accumulated since you woke up. Now, one by one, imagine yourself carrying them into the deep, cool, dark silence of these ancient warehouses. There is no urgency, no rush. With each bundle you place inside, feel a corresponding sense of lightness, a release of mental clutter, that nagging worry about a task for tomorrow. Place it on a shelf in the far corner, the lingering tension from a difficult conversation. Set it down gently and leave it there. The fleeting images from a screen, the background noise of the city, the mental list of errands, all of it can be stored away. The granaries were built to hold immense weight, and they can certainly hold yours. You are not destroying these thoughts or denying their existence. You are simply giving them a designated place to rest so that you no longer have to carry them. What remains after this process of storage is not a blank nothingness, but a state of receptive emptiness. It is the quiet of the granary after the harvest has been distributed, a peaceful, open space, clean and ready. This inner emptiness is one of the most valuable states you can cultivate for sleep. It is a space free from the clutter of doing and thinking, a vacuum that nature abhors and will fill with its own restorative quiet. In this receptive state, you are not trying to achieve anything or figure anything out. You are simply making space, creating an internal vessel ready to be filled with the deep, healing stillness of the night. The Horia Vespasiani, in their enduring, empty silence, stand as a monumental lesson in letting go of the day's mental harvest, teaching us that true nourishment often begins not with accumulation, but with the courageous and peaceful act of creating space. And now, let's turn our attention away from the open granaries and toward a place that holds a very different kind of energy, a structure that speaks to the deepest human experiences of confinement and, remarkably, of release. Just a short walk from the main forum at the foot of the Capitoline Hill stands the Palatine prison. Its entrance is unassuming, almost hidden a low, circular opening in the ground that leads down into a subterranean world. In the common imagination, a prison is a place of pure darkness and despair, a final stop. But as we approach it tonight, we will not focus on its grim history of incarceration, but on its powerful, enduring legacy as a place where the heaviest burdens of the soul were ultimately laid down. Descending the ancient stone steps into the prison's lower chamber, the air changes instantly. It becomes cool and damp, carrying the clean, mineral scent of deep earth and old stone. The chamber itself is a rough, circular room hewn from the living rock, its walls dark and porous. A single, small opening in the ceiling, now open to the night sky, once served as the only source of light and air, and as the doorway through which prisoners were lowered into this pit. It was here, in this very chamber, that some of history's most famous figures were said to have been held, including the Gallic chieftain Vercingetorix and, according to strong tradition, the apostles Peter and Paul. Its original name was the Tullianum, a word echoing an ancient term for a spring of water, and indeed, a small, perennial well still bubbles up from the floor, its waters believed in later centuries to possess miraculous properties. This is the first profound clue to the prison's dual nature. Even in this place of deepest confinement, a source of cleansing and life persistently emerges from the ground. This symbolism is the key that unlocks the prison's true gift for us tonight. The Palatine was not merely a place where people were trapped, it was a place where they were transformed. The historical and legendary accounts tell of individuals who entered this chamber burdened by their worldly fate, defeated kings, condemned enemies of the state, men facing execution. Yet, in their final hours, many are said to have found a profound form of liberation. The story of Saint Peter is particularly poignant. Imprisoned for his faith, he is said to have used the water from that very spring to baptize his jailers, converting his place of captivity into a site of spiritual rebirth. In that act, the physical chains became irrelevant, and internal freedom was claimed that no prison door could ever lock. The Palatine, therefore, stands not as a monument to confinement, but as a testament to the human spirit's indomitable capacity to release itself from any prison, whether built of stone or of thought. This idea offers a powerful and immediate metaphor for the burdens we carry with us to bed each night. Think of the ways you can feel trapped by the events of your day. Perhaps it's the mental confinement of a stressful work project that seems to have no solution, making you feel stuck in a loop of worry. Maybe it's the emotional prison of a difficult interaction, replaying the conversation in your mind and feeling trapped by frustration or regret. It could be the simple yet suffocating feeling of being confined by your own endless to-do list, a sense that there is no escape from the demands on your time and energy. These are the modern, invisible walls of our own personal Palatine. We lower ourselves into these mental chambers throughout the day, and by nightfall we often forget that we hold the key to our own release. So, as you stand in the quiet darkness of this ancient site, allow it to become a symbolic workshop for letting go. Visualize the worries that make you feel trapped. Give them a form. See that unresolved problem as a heavy iron chain wrapped around your wrists. Feel that lingering regret as a cold stone wall pressing in on you. Acknowledge the anxiety about tomorrow as a locked door barring your path to peace. Now, one by one, use the symbolism of this sacred space to release them. Imagine taking that heavy chain and dipping it into the cool, cleansing waters of the prison spring. Watch as the water washes over the iron, not with a magical clang, but with a gentle, dissolving effect. See the metal begin to soften, to lose its solidity, until it simply melts away into the water, leaving your wrists light and free. Approach that cold, stone wall of regret. Place your hands upon it and feel its rough texture. Then, visualize the legendary power of faith and acceptance, not in a religious sense, but as a simple, determined choice flowing from your heart and through your fingertips. Watch as the solid rock begins to crumble, not with a violent crash, but quietly, turning into harmless gravel at your feet, creating a path where once there was a barrier. The lesson of the Palatine prison is that release is always an internal, available choice. The physical structure remained, but the prisoners who found peace did so by releasing their attachment to their circumstances, by forgiving their captors, or by connecting to something greater than their immediate suffering. You have the same power now. The circumstances of your day do not need to change for you to release the feeling of being trapped by them. You can simply choose to set down the burden. The small opening in the ceiling, which once looked down on prisoners, now frames a perfect circle of the free night sky, a reminder that beyond any temporary confinement, there is always vastness, always space, always a world of stars waiting. The prison's deepest history is not one of despair, but of ultimate emancipation. Let this be the final, powerful release on our walk. Leave the feeling of being trapped behind in the quiet darkness of the chamber, and as we ascend back to the moonlit forum, carry with you only the lightness of a spirit that has chosen, once again, to be free. Moving away from the stark, earthbound symbolism of the prison, our path now leads us toward a different kind of mystery altogether, one that haunts the very edge of the forum. Tucked behind the Basilica Julia, there is a place known only by a name that sounds like a whisper from a forgotten world, the Phrygianum. Unlike the grand temples to Jupiter or Saturn, this was not a shrine to a state-sponsored god of Rome. It was a sanctuary for something far more exotic and distant, a site associated with the ecstatic, foreign cults that flowed into the city from the eastern reaches of the empire. Most notably the worship of Cybele, the Great Mother, who was brought to Rome from Phrygia. There is no grand architecture left to see here, no standing columns or sweeping staircases. Perhaps there is just a faint outline of a foundation in the grass, a subtle depression in the earth that hints at a structure that was intentionally set apart, physically and spiritually, from the ordered Roman pantheon. This very absence is what makes the Phrygianum so powerfully evocative tonight. The cults practiced here were not about civic duty or patriotic devotion. They were about raw, personal, transformative experience. Followers of Cybele engaged in rituals that were wild and incomprehensible to the average Roman citizen. Frenzied dances, the clamorous music of tambourines and flutes, and even acts of ritual self-castration by her fanatical priests, the Galli. This was a religion of passion and possession, where worshippers sought to lose themselves entirely, to merge with the divine in a storm of ecstatic release. For the orderly Roman mind, these Eastern mysteries were both fascinating and frightening, a spiritual chaos that existed just beyond the clean, straight lines of their own religious traditions. To stand on this patch of ground now is to stand at the threshold of that ancient, thrilling otherness, a place where the rational mind was deliberately set aside in favor of something primal and unknown. And it is in that deliberate setting aside that we find a profound utility for our own modern minds. The Phrygianum, in its forgotten state, becomes a powerful symbol for the act of mental release. The cults celebrated here were all about detachment from the rational self, from social conventions, from the mundane worries of everyday life. The worshippers who gathered here sought to be transported, to be taken out of themselves and into a state of divine madness or bliss. While we are not seeking a religious trance, we can borrow the underlying principle, the conscious, willing release from the relentless grip of our own daily concerns. Your worries about work, your family responsibilities, your personal goals, these are the modern equivalent of the Roman civic duties and social obligations. They form the familiar, ordered world you inhabit every day. The Phrygianum represents the permission to step outside that world, if only for a little while. Let the mystery of this distant cult inspire a sense of healthy detachment. The specific doctrines and rituals are lost to time, their details blurred into an indecipherable haze. The passionate cries of the worshippers have long since faded on the wind, and the once shocking rites are now just curious footnotes in history books. All the fervor and the fear, the devotion and the drama have been smoothed into a gentle, generalized wonder. This is the ultimate fate of all things that feel overwhelmingly immediate and important. The problems that feel so visceral and urgent in your life today will, with the passage of time, lose their sharp edges and emotional charge. They will become like the Phrygianum itself, a faint outline of a story, a mystery whose power has been diffused by the simple, relentless forward march of years. So allow yourself to view your current anxieties from this new, distant vantage point. Imagine your most pressing worry as a ritual object used in one of those long-lost ceremonies. See it clearly, a specific, tangible concern. Now place it gently on the vanished altar of the Phrygianum. Watch as it begins to lose its contemporary urgency, its colors fading, its form becoming less distinct. See it not as your problem, but as an artifact from a forgotten time, a curious relic whose emotional power has dissipated into the peaceful night air. The exotic, almost alien nature of this site helps to create a necessary psychological distance. Your worries belong to the world of the familiar, the world of schedules and screens. But here, at the threshold of a mystery cult, you are in a realm of the strange and the symbolic, a place where the rules of your ordinary life no longer apply. By connecting with this ancient sense of wonder, you gently disconnect from the weight of the mundane, realizing that the vast, mysterious tapestry of history holds countless dramas that felt every bit as real as yours, yet now rest in a silence that is both humbling and deeply, deeply peaceful. Our path now curves gently, leaving the main floor of the forum and beginning a slow, steady ascent along the ancient paving of the Clivus Capitolinus. This is the final leg of our journey, the sacred road that once carried triumphant generals and solemn priests up to the temples of the Capitoline Hill, the most important and revered of the 7 hills of Rome. Underfoot, the stones are even more deeply worn than those of the Via Sacra, grooved by 2 millennia of processions and pilgrimage, and now by our own quiet, measured steps. This is not a strenuous climb, but a deliberate one, a gentle physical engagement that draws your awareness fully into the present moment, into the simple, rhythmic act of placing one foot in front of the other. With each step upward, you can feel the subtle shift in the muscles of your legs, a mild, pleasant exertion that serves as a final, conscious sensation of the body before it settles into complete and total rest. As we climb, the air itself begins to transform. The still, cool air of the Forum Basin gives way to a soft, moving breeze that drifts down from the heights of the hilltop. This air feels different, fresher, cleaner, and slightly thinner, carrying with it the crisp, leafy scent of the night-blooming plants that cling to the hillside and the clean, dry aroma of the travertine stone that lines the path. Breathe it in deeply. This cool, moving air flows into your lungs, feeling like a cleansing drink of water after a long, dusty day. It washes over your face and skin, a gentle, refreshing counterpoint to the warmth generated by the gentle effort of the climb. With every breath, you can feel the last remnants of the day's mental dust and fatigue being carried away on this gentle current, leaving your mind feeling clearer, lighter, and more open to the expansive quiet that awaits us at the summit. The world opens up around us as we ascend. The enclosing walls of the basilicas and temples fall away, and our view expands dramatically. Pause for a moment on one of the wider turns of the path and look back the way we came. The entire forum is spread out below us like a map drawn in moonlight and shadow. The broken lines of the sacred way, the solitary columns of Saturn's temple, the vast dark footprint of the Basilica Julia, they are all laid out in a beautiful, silent diorama. From this new perspective, the grand scale of the ruins is both majestic and humbling. The individual stories we have passed, the specific temples and rostra, now merge into a single, cohesive landscape of memory, a testament to the sheer breadth of human history that has unfolded in the space beneath our gaze. The muted sounds of the modern city are now a far-off oceanic whisper, a distant hum that only serves to accentuate the profound peace of this higher sanctuary. Up here, we are leaving not just the forum, but the final echoes of the present day, climbing toward a rest that feels as ancient and as assured as the hill itself. And as our final step brings us to the summit of the Capitoline Hill, the world opens up in a breathtaking panoramic embrace. We have left the intimate, shadowed paths of the forum below, emerging onto a wide, level space that feels like the natural balcony of the ancient world. Before us, the city of Rome stretches away in a tapestry of soft lights and deep slumber, but it is the view directly before our feet that truly captures the breath and stills the heart. The entire Roman Forum is laid out below, a magnificent, sprawling map of memory etched in moonlight and obsidian shadow. The structures we have just wandered through are now transformed into abstract shapes, their hard edges softened by the gentle hand of the night. The columns of the Temple of Saturn are no longer individual pillars, but a delicate, dark comb against the silvery ground. The Arch of Septimius Severus is a stark, beautiful cutout against the lighter stone of the pavement. The great hollow of the Basilica Julia is a pool of deeper darkness, while the solitary columns of Castor and Pollux stand as lonely, elegant sentinels. It all merges into a single, silent seascape, a sea of ruins, frozen in a moment of perfect, waveless calm, under a sky that has now deepened to a velvety, infinite black, dense with countless shimmering stars. This elevated perspective does more than just offer a beautiful view. It works a subtle magic on the soul. From up here, the grand scale of human ambition is rendered humbling and peaceful. The rostra, where voices once thundered to sway the masses, is now a silent, insignificant rectangle. The curia, where senators debated the fate of millions, is a mere block of shadow. The individual dramas, the passionate speeches, the desperate ambitions, all of it is smoothed into a harmonious, geological stillness. It is impossible to look upon this scene and not feel the smallness of your own worries in the face of such immense, patient time. The anxieties that felt so large and immediate just hours ago, the unfinished tasks, the minor insults, the personal striving, seem to shrink to their true scale when viewed from this vantage point. They become like the individual stones in the forum below, important in their own right, but part of a much larger, more enduring mosaic whose final pattern is one of serene acceptance. This is not a diminishing feeling, but a liberating one. It is the profound understanding that you, too, are part of this vast, beautiful continuum, and that your current moment of stress or worry is simply a passing cloud in a sky that has witnessed empires rise and fall. Breathe in this cool, lofty air and feel it fill you with a deep and effortless sense of calm. The gentle breeze that rustles the leaves of the laurel trees on this hilltop carries with it the quiet of the centuries. It is a calm that doesn't need to be manufactured or forced. It simply is as natural and pervasive as the starlight bathing the ruins. This is the peace that comes from perspective, the tranquility that arises when we finally stop resisting the flow of time and instead allow ourselves to be carried by it. The forum below is the ultimate testament to the fact that all noise, no matter how deafening, eventually fades. All struggle, no matter how fierce, eventually finds its resolution. All life, no matter how vibrant, eventually returns to a state of rest. Looking down upon this silent testament, you can feel your own internal resistance softening, your own tight grip on the concerns of the day beginning to loosen. There is no need to hold on so tightly. The same forces of time and nature that have cared for these stones for 2,000 years are holding you too in this very moment, inviting you to release, to let go, and to simply be a quiet witness to the beautiful, enduring peace of the night. The journey back begins not as a retreat, but as a gentle unfurling, a slow and mindful return from the depths of history to the quiet shores of the present. We turn not with reluctance but with a sense of fulfillment and start to retrace our steps along the moonlit path of the Clivus Capitolinus, descending now from the starry summit. The same stones are beneath our feet, the same cool breeze brushes against our skin, but everything feels different. The weight of the day, which we so consciously laid down at the temples and arches, has not returned. Instead, there's a pervasive lightness, a quiet emptiness in the mind that is not hollow, but spacious and clean, like a room that has been thoroughly aired out after a long season. Your footsteps are slower now, more measured, not with fatigue, but with a new, gentle deliberation, as if your body is naturally synchronizing with the slow, patient rhythm of the night itself. As we move back down the sacred incline, the monumental ruins we pass are no longer puzzles to be deciphered or stories to be unlocked. They are simply beautiful, sleeping forms. The Arch of Septimius Severus is a familiar silhouette, a graceful gateway we've already moved through, both physically and emotionally. The empty shell of the Basilica Julia no longer echoes with the ghosts of its frantic past, but simply holds the night air, a vast and peaceful container for silence. There is no need to stop and ponder. The work of contemplation is done. The mind, which was so active in its release, has now grown still and receptive, content to simply observe the passing shadows without the need to attach a narrative or a worry to them. It's a feeling of homecoming, not to a place, but to a state of being you had temporarily forgotten, a state of simple, unadorned awareness where you are present in your body, feeling the cool air and seeing the soft light without a constant internal commentary running alongside it. The transition feels seamless, a natural blending of the ancient world's deep peace with the approaching comfort of your own rest. The boundary between the historical and the personal, the external forum and your internal landscape, has grown wonderfully thin. The profound stillness you witnessed in the House of the Vestals now feels like it has taken up residence within your own chest. The enduring strength of the temple columns now feels like the steady, reliable support of your own breath and heartbeat. The journey through the forum was not an escape from yourself, but a quiet pilgrimage back to your own core, a reminder that beneath the layers of daily concern, there exists a foundation of calm as ancient and as solid as the marble upon which we walk. The ruins served as mirrors, each one reflecting back a different facet of peace, the peace of release, the peace of connection, the peace of perspective. And now, as we walk, those reflections have merged into a single, sustained feeling of tranquility that you carry with you. Our path leads us back across the wide, silent expanse of the main forum, past the dark Pool of Juturna, which now holds only the perfect, untroubled reflection of the stars, and past the gentle circle of Vesta's temple, its sacred hearth cold but its symbolic warmth now a permanent ember within you. The climb back up the Clivus Palatinus is effortless, a gentle rise that feels like a final, soothing stretch for the body and spirit. From this familiar vantage point once more, you take in the panoramic view of the slumbering ruins. But the view is no longer a lesson in history, it is a confirmation. It confirms that all things find their rest. The grand ambitions, the fierce debates, the vibrant commerce, all of it has settled into this beautiful, silent acceptance. And if an entire civilization's worth of sound and fury can resolve into such profound quiet, then surely the smaller concerns of a single day can be trusted to do the same. This understanding is the final gift of the walk, a deep-seated knowledge that allows the last vestiges of mental tension to dissolve, not through force but through a gentle, willing surrender to the natural order of things. The mind, having walked its own sacred way through memory and metaphor, is now clear, quiet, and perfectly, profoundly ready for sleep. Our descent from the Palatine brings us to the edge of the Forum proper, to a site that was more symbolic than architectural, but whose meaning resonates with perfect clarity for our journey's end. Before us, marked now by little more than a few weathered stones set into the ground, was the location of the Gate of Janus. This was not a grand entrance to a temple or a palace, but a unique and powerful monument. A small, ceremonial gateway that stood with two doors, two faces, looking simultaneously into the past and the future. Its significance was profound and singular to the Roman worldview. This gate was kept ceremoniously open during all periods of war, a constant reminder of the conflict raging beyond the city. But when a true and universal peace was finally achieved across the empire, the gates were formally, joyously shut. The rare sound of those bronze doors closing echoed through the city as the ultimate proclamation that, for a time, the work of war was done and the blessed state of peace had officially begun. In the deep quiet of this moonlit night, the symbolism of that act feels almost overwhelmingly personal. Just as the Roman state, in its moments of hard-won tranquility, chose to close this gate, you now stand at a similar threshold. All day long, the gates of your own mind have been thrown wide open. The world has poured in through them, demands on your time, streams of information, a constant influx of decisions to be made and problems to be solved. Your mental gates have been open to worry, to planning, to strategizing, and to engaging with the endless battles of daily life. This open state is necessary, of course. It is how we navigate our world. But it is not a state meant to be perpetual. Just as an empire cannot sustain itself in a constant condition of war, a mind cannot thrive without periods of declared and honored peace. The open gate served its purpose during the daylight hours, but now the conditions for its closure have been met. The battles of the day are over, the debates have concluded. The work for now is done, so picture this small, symbolic archway before you in your mind's eye. See its two heavy doors forged from cool, dark bronze. They are not locked, but they are ready to be moved. This is not an act of shutting out the world in fear or frustration, but a conscious, dignified, and decisive ceremony. You are the sole authority who can perform it. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, visualize yourself reaching out and gently, firmly pushing the first door closed. Hear the soft, resonant sound as the bronze meets its frame, a deep, conclusive tone that signals an end to one state of being. All the external demands, the notifications, the unfinished business of the day, they are all on the other side of that door now. They are not gone forever, but they are no longer permitted entry into this sacred, private space you are creating. Now turn to the other door. This one faces inward, and it has been open to all the internal campaigns of your own mind. The rehearsals of future conversations, the reliving of past mistakes, the endless analysis and self-criticism. With the same gentle firmness, push this second door closed. Hear its matching final note ring out. The internal chatter, the relentless thinking, the cycle of what-ifs and if-onlys, they too are now on the other side. With both gates shut, you find yourself in a rare and precious state of neutrality. You are neither looking backward with regret nor straining forward with anxiety. You are fully present in the quiet, liminal space between what was and what will be. This is the essence of Janus's gift, the understanding that every ending is also a beginning, and that true rest is the vital pivot between the two. The Romans believed that closing the gate did not ignore the reality of future conflicts. It simply honored the profound necessity of the peaceful interlude. In the same way, closing your own mental gates does not mean your responsibilities have vanished. It means you are wisely and compassionately granting yourself the restorative interval you need to meet them again tomorrow with renewed strength. The silence that now surrounds you is not empty, it is the fertile ground of peace. It is the condition that allows for repair, for healing, and for the simple, profound miracle of sleep to take root. The day's wars are over, the gates are closed, and in this hallowed quiet you have officially and deservedly entered your own personal and peaceful armistice. And so our quiet walk through the Forum comes to its natural end. We have wandered together from the sunset heights of the Palatine down the ancient Clivus and along the moonlit path of the sacred way. We stood in the presence of sleeping temples and silent rostra, felt the cool marble of forgotten thresholds, and listened to a quiet so deep it seems to hold the very breath of centuries. We have laid down our burdens one by one at the feet of history, leaving them in the care of the patient stones. The journey was not about escaping the present, but about remembering a different rhythm, a slower, more enduring pulse that beats beneath the frantic pace of our modern lives. In the heart of what was once the world's noisiest crossroads, we found a sanctuary of profound peace, a testament to the fact that all sound eventually fades, all struggle finds its resolution, and every soul deserves a harbor of stillness. You are now in a place of deep and gentle safety. The worries and mental lists that felt so urgent just a short while ago have been entrusted to the care of the Vestal's garden, stored away in the hollow granaries and released into the forgiving shadows of the Arch of Titus. The gates of daily concern are closed. Nothing is required of you in this moment. There is no problem to solve, no task to begin, no thought you need to hold. You are wrapped in the quiet assurance that you are part of something vast and timeless, a continuum of human experience that understands rest as a sacred necessity, not a luxury. The same stars that shone down on senators and citizens now watch over you, their constant, gentle light a promise that you are not alone, that you are held in the same cosmic embrace that has comforted countless generations before you. Allow the specific images from our walk to begin softening at the edges now, like a beautiful painting viewed through a gentle haze. Let the sharp outlines of the marble columns blur and merge. Let the dark silhouettes of the arches melt into the surrounding night. The feeling is what remains the feeling of cool, smooth stone beneath your feet, the sensation of clean night air filling your lungs, the profound and weightless quiet that has settled deep within your bones. This feeling is your anchor, your personal connection to the enduring peace of this ancient place. It does not need a name or a story. It simply is. It is the essence of rest, the very substance of sleep itself, and it is yours to carry with you now. As you drift toward sleep, let the Forum itself drift into your dreams. Perhaps you will dream of walking through a landscape of soft shadows and silver light, where every footstep is silent and every breath is easy. Or perhaps you will simply dream of a perfect, boundless quiet, a dark and velvety space where you can float, weightless and free, cradled in the deep and patient heart of history. However your rest finds you, know that it is deserved and that it is healing. The stones are sleeping, the night is holding its breath, and the world for you is perfectly still. May your sleep be as deep and restorative as the silence we have shared, and may you awaken feeling refreshed, renewed, and gently held by the quiet wisdom of the ancient world. Good night.